Hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm so excited to see some familiar faces joining this call. Hello. We're going to wait one more minute and then we're going to get started. Hi, everyone. Hi. Hi, 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 hi. Look at my beautiful background. Isn't this crazy? I feel like this is like a fake background, almost like the palm trees. Hello, Deborah, sending hearts. I love that. Okay, I'm so excited about doing this. Let's see. I think I am recording. We are getting ready. Yes. Oh, this is going to be so fun. Hi, Michelle. Looking radiant as ever. I hope you brought your notepad and your pens and your paper. If people still use those. Okay, we're going to get started. We're going to let people in as they come in and just keep rolling. So, everyone, welcome. I am so excited about talking about this today. We are going to be linking women's health, longevity, and intuition. And this has been something that has been on my heart for so long, something that I've seen really missing in this space. And I know some of the people who are watching live are in the health space as well. And you probably see this discussion also missing. And we are going to be I'm going to go through some of the research, some science. We're also going to be talking about your body and actually your life. And later on, we are going to do an activation where you're going to have the opportunity to have some reflection, where you're going to be able to actually look at what's going on with your body and your health and your life and really assess how that might be affecting your longevity long term. Katie, welcome. So, before we start, I just want to ground all of us. So, if you want to just ground with me for a second, put your feet on the earth or flat surface, hand on your heart, hand on your belly. And we're just going to take a breath. I just want to preface this before we get deep into this, is that clearly I am in Nicaragua and there is a chance that I lose Wi-Fi or the power goes out. So if that happens, I will be back on in a few minutes, but it is something that kind of happens once a day around here, and you just kind of go with the flow. So like I said, for those who just joined, we are going to be kind of going through some of the things that I've noticed that are missing in the health and longevity space. And then we're going to be doing an activation a bit later on like how this actually might impact you. So I really encourage you to have a pen, a notepad, a pencil, anything like that for you to take notes. Um, so this conversation is so important because the longevity space right now is really dominated by men. Even just like biohacking in general is really dominated by men. But longevity, even more than that, is dominated by men. And there's not a lot of talk about women's health in that. But there's also definitely not a lot of not there's not a lot of talk about the intuition part as well. So looking past things like supplements and biohacks and going deeper than that. And that is really what I want to get into today. And we're going to be talking about misalignment and alignment in your life and in your body. And this question kind of came up to me the other day when I was actually going for a walk and I was thinking, and I said, I kind of heard this voice and it said, what if the way we're living is actually speeding up our aging, even when we're doing everything right? So, especially as biohackers, and especially as women who like to go on the morning routine, we have the juice, we have the exercise, we're detoxing, we're doing the sauna. Like, especially if you are in the biohacking space, you are like that type A who's like checking all the boxes. But there's this question of like, and I wrestled with this at the end of last year and actually came up in a podcast episode of what if wellness can only get us so far? And I have done so many biohacks, and I'm going to talk about that in a second. I have done so much in the health space for years. I've studied a lot. I've like had over 400 podcast episodes where I've got to interview experts on like the latest health, this and that. But then, like, at the end of the day, there is more. There is more to that. And so then my question became when I was kind of putting this all together and thinking about this was like, if there's more to wellness than what we're talking about, how does that affect how we age and how does that affect longevity? And how does that affect women specifically? And what is so interesting is that, like, that hunch that I have is actually in the data. So women live longer than men, but our health span is actually shorter than men. So we are living more years in sick or poor health than men are. So why? Like, where does that come from? What is going on there? And this brings up so many different angles we can take. But one of the biggest things, and I think that is like the point of today that we're really going to talk about, is this idea that a lot of us are living in misalignment. And misalignment is a biological stressor. So living out of alignment with yourself creates stress, even if your habits look healthy. And when I say living out of alignment, this can be like multiple things. And I'm like definitely going to share a few like personal examples. So out of alignment could be you live somewhere that no longer feels like it reflects your values. It could be you're in a relationship that is misaligned and you're no longer communicating, you're no longer growing with that person. It could be something with your family, and a really common one could actually be the work that you're doing and the job that you're in. What if you're sitting in a job that you actually don't like and you don't feel passionate and creative, and you're just sitting there year after year after year? I talked to somebody last year who's coming on my retreat in Costa Rica, and she's been in the same job for 10 years. And we started the conversation very like surface level of like, hey, what's going on with your health? Oh, this, and this. And then I was like, well, like, what do you do for work? What do you do day to day? And she starts talking about it, and her whole entire energy changed. And then I said, like, what do you actually want to do? And she's like, oh, I want to go back to school. I actually want to do this one thing. And so we started talking about like how that's holding her back. What would it look like if she actually stepped into that? But what we don't see in that discussion is like, how is that impacting your health? And how is that impacting your health long term? Because when you're sitting in misalignment in something like that, that is causing so much stress in your body, like micro stress. And we can take so many different angles at this, right? Like we can talk about it increasing inflammation, activating epigenetics. Epigenetics is the study of genes, the environment, which genes do we turn on and off, and the good genes and the bad genes and the expression. And so if we're constantly in this like stress, like our life is just like, what is that actually doing to us long term? And then the hormonal dysregulation is massive as well. And the hormonal dysregulation, I just want to say, is for women who are in their fertile years, for sure, especially when you have a menstrual cycle, like it is very sensitive, but it also matters during perimenopause, menopause, and postmenopause. You still have hormones going on. You still need some sort of balance there. You still have cortisol. Like it's not just like this one period of time in your life. Hormonal balance is your entire life, especially for women. It just changes kind of what it looks like. So if you're living in this life of misalignment and it just sits there, it like eats at you. And it doesn't matter how high achieving of a woman you are. It doesn't matter how clean your meal is or how great your workout is. At the end of the day, like this type of lifestyle change will make the biggest difference in your biology than anything else. And we actually see this. Like I've had friends who have been in relationships that have been misaligned. They get out of the relationship and they just lose weight without even trying because it was just sitting on them. They were just like stuck. Or they move countries or they do something else. They start a side project. They have this like new energy, this new creative energy that comes out of them because they're no longer stuck in this relationship that didn't really speak to them. So I would love for you in the chat, whoever is live, on a scale of 1 to 10 or 0 to 10, goodness, how aligned does your life feel with who you truly are right now? I'll put my number in. How aligned does my life feel for how like who I really want to be and am? I'd probably say about a seven, six, seven. Yeah, lots of sevens. I feel like people would always put a seven. Seven feels like a safe number. Michelle, you're hitting an eight. I love that for you. Yes, yes. And it's interesting when we talk about stuff like this because I think, and this comes up when I do my podcast episodes too, I don't even need to tell you what's misaligned in your life right now because you already know. Like, I don't need to say, hey, I think it's where you live or your house or your mother-in-law, whatever. Like, you already know. It like popped in your head the moment I said it. But I think we really need to think about it from this perspective of, hey, this is not just like an emotional factor. This is biological. And this is impacting your health long term. And if you don't do something about it, what's going to happen? Are symptoms going to show up? Maybe symptoms are showing up. They probably are, especially over time. Um, and how does it impact disease and chronic disease long term? I think is really like the point there. So my personal journey with this is kind of like I was alluding to. I was having I was doing so many podcast episodes last year and so many discussions with experts, like the top of the field, like the best of the best, these doctors and these people. And again, I just kept feeling like we're really not getting to the root of things here. Like, why am I keep telling people, oh, you need to like activate this one pathway, or you need to like get the sauna or do whatever, when like there's women who are really struggling with like internal misalignment they don't know how to navigate. Like wellness only gets you so far. And I think that now that I'm also studying longevity medicine, which is very fascinating, um, I think there is this beautiful blend that we can bring in when we talk about intuition and alignment and women's health. I actually want to give an example that happened recently. I talked about this on my Instagram stories, and if you follow me, we flew from Panama to Nicaragua. And we were in Panama for a while. And for Nicaragua, you actually need the yellow fever vaccine if you are in Panama for a certain amount of time. And I actually didn't know that. As someone who's pretty researched and like organized, I didn't know that. And so we get to the airport to get on our flight, and they wouldn't let us on our flight without this vaccine. And so this person working behind the desk wanted my son to be vaccinated, who's 18 months old. And the yellow fever vaccine is like actually a pretty serious vaccine. It's not like um it's a pretty harsh one to take. And so immediately my body was like, no, like this isn't happening. You think I'm going to go find a clinic in Panama and vaccinate my kid here? Are you out of your mind? Like, no, this is not happening. So we had to fly to El Salvador and then fly into Nicaragua. We spent a night sleeping in the El Salvador airport. It was wild. It was a chaos for 48 hours. My mom was with us. We had to buy flight like tickets for four people. And when I was talking about this on my podcast last week, I was talking with another woman. I was explaining this story. And so she said something so interesting. She said, alignment isn't comfortable. And that's exactly what it is. So in that moment, like listening to my body, being in align with my values, how uncomfortable was it to be like, we are flying to another country, to Nicaragua. It's going to cost us this much. It's going to be exhausting. We're not going to know where to sleep. This is uncomfortable, but this is aligned with who I am as a person. And now looking back, there's no stress in my body. It's not sitting in my body, eating away at me, right? Because if I had actually done that, and if I had like given him that yellow fever vaccine, like right now, I can tell you that I would be sitting in regret. And I would have to do some sort of heavy lifting mental release in order to like move past that. And then it would actually come back probably in the future if like something happened to him, or who knows if something showed up, like who knows if I would have thought like, oh, was this part of the yellow fever vaccine? And this is not about like vaccines versus not vaccines. This is about like when you're in aligned with yourself and when you listen to your intuition, it's actually easier to make those choices. But yeah, it's uncomfortable. It is uncomfortable. Ugh, it's like cringe. Like, man, I'm just gonna spend all this money on these tickets to like work around and get into the country. It was hard, but I'm proud of myself and I'm so happy for that moment. And that's one moment. Guys, that's one decision of like living in alignment. Think about how many decisions you have every single day. Yeah, there's just so many moments where do you want to live in misalignment and have it sit in you and build? Like, you know that book, The Body Keeps the Score? The body remembers what happens, that inflammation, activating the certain genes, and then it leading to disease and symptoms and showing up in a different way. So when I think about intuition, I actually think about there's two different layers here. So I think there's the body intuition, body-led intuition, which I think all of us know, right? So it's like if you wake up tomorrow morning and you had a workout planned and you wake up and you're like not feeling good, or maybe you get your period and you're like, hey, this isn't for me. Like, this isn't, I don't want to go. Like, I'm going to listen to my body. That's body-led intuition. And the more we listen to our body, the more we like practice that muscle, the easier it gets. And that one is like about fuel, like what you eat, how much you eat. Like intuitive eating is such a thing now, right? Like eating until you're full, not necessarily what's on the plate. Living in rhythm with your cycle, rest, workouts, like everything. There's like so much you can say about that. But then I think there is this deeper layer of self-led intuition, of thinking about your values and what's important to you and your pace and the season that you're in right now. So, what do you actually need in this season? Yeah, I mean, every season is different. And so these things are not separate, they really do inform each other. And I think that people who are disconnected from their intuition, which I've been there, and I think is very common, I think that happens in society because we are taught to kind of override it. And overriding really trains the nervous system to live in threat, which is kind of scary. So, repeatedly ignoring your needs teaches the body it's not safe. And we actually see this like from such a young age. Like, I think about my son who, like, when we're sitting, even with food as an example, it's such an easy example. Like, I'm giving him food and then he like is pushing the plate away. But in my mind, I'm like, oh, you only had 3 spoons. So you must be hungry. So here, eat more. And I'm just like forcing him to override potentially how he's feeling, like his body's feeling, right? So it happens from such a young level, like such a young age of overriding what our body is saying and then teaching us that, hey, we're not safe. So this is like the sympathetic activation, right? The chronic fight or flight. Have you ever met somebody who's in chronic fight or flight? Are you that person? Like these are the people who are like jittery and are just like so like, hey, how's it going? Oh my gosh, yeah, this, that. Like they're just like this and they never like come down. And it's really great to have that energy, but at the same time, like you need to be grounded and rest and digest. And when we're go, go, go like that, which is actually what society really praises, it's kind of getting better now, but still, it kind of praises that like male dominance, that like masculine go, go, go. That creates havoc in the body, especially for women. Hormonal imbalances, immune issues, autoimmune issues. Autoimmune issues are more common in women. Repair problems, suppressing repair, digestion issues. Like, and if I think about the times that I'm in that, and obviously, like, it's normal to kind of like flow really into that. I think that, yeah, I'm not like digesting. I'm not calm. I'm not like regulated. My nervous system is not regulated. I'm like hyped up or the emotions can really be like irritable, angry, frustrated, impatient with everybody around me. And so how do we kind of step out of that and step back into our intuition and our and living in a regulated nervous system? It's really hard. Like it's something I'm struggling with as well, and I'm also learning. So saying yes when your body says no, and then you wonder why sleep or digestion or these like new symptoms are coming up, when really it's like it's so obvious, right? Like it's right there. So we're gonna do an activation, and it's okay to feel activated. During this, I was activated when I did it. Um, so I really want to get a little deeper here with you, and I really want to open the space for you to be able to reflect. So we're going to answer some questions, and I will also put my answers in the chat, things like that. So the first one that I want you to think about, we'll start a little like lighter and easier, is what does my body need today? And it can be anything. What do you feel like you need? What does your body need? Rest and kindness. I'd love for you to put one word in the chat of what you think your body needs. I think kindness is really beautiful. I feel like I should use that word more. Movement, more movement. Mm, yeah. Anyone else? Massage. That's a good one. That's a good one. Yeah. I feel like mm, yeah, I feel like I need like more nourishment today. That's like what's coming through. Grounding foods. You have one scheduled for today. Very nice. The next question, I think if everyone is answered, Jealous, is what does my life need in this season? Trust. Oof. Travel. Intention. Wow, guys, these are some powerful words. Yeah, January is a very interesting month. I love new beginnings. I'm such a new beginning person. I love January. I love September. I feel like it's the Virgo in me. I think trust is very interesting. Self-trust, trusting other people, trusting your intuition. If you want to put one word that you feel for this, if you haven't yet, um, and obviously you can write as much as you want, but what does your life need right now in this season that you're in? The next one is, and this is a tricky one, but the question is, where am I overriding myself? Mm. I think there's a lot of fear that can come out when I think about this, like what might feel misaligned, and then what do I need to do to make it aligned? And then there's like a lot of fear around that, I think, especially if it's a big life factor or life value or part of your life, I guess. If you want to share, you're more than welcome to share in the chat. I feel like for us right now, as you probably know, too nice to too many people before myself. Yeah. People pleasing as a woman is so common. I feel like we're taught this from such a young age of everyone else's needs matter more than we do. Our family, our parents, taking care of our parents, even. Yeah. Or even like people that you might work with or friends. And at what cost? Yeah. Yeah, Dev, I know you just joined recently. We were talking about that earlier of like this deeper intuition that we have and what happens when we override it. And how does that impact our health and longevity long term? The silencing it, yeah. What I find with intuition, is that it actually is a whisper. Because I was thinking the other day of like, what's the difference between intuition and fear? Like that voice in your head that's like, oh, this, and this. What if this? What if that? And intuition is actually this like very quiet voice and it doesn't loop. It doesn't repeat itself. And for me, I don't know, like you guys can put this in the chat, but for me, my intuition, like I feel it in my belly. Like I feel it in my gut. It's a very body feeling. Like it's like this, yeah. Fear for me is like loud. It's in my brain. It repeats over and over again. It shows up. It's like obnoxious. It's in my head. It's very like mental. I feel it like here. I don't feel the fear in my body. And I think that's a really important distinction when we are trying to make these decisions and trying to like navigate misalignment, or overriding our intuition is like, how do we know if it's our intuition or if it's the fear speaking? So the last question is, what would alignment feel like? Yeah, Katie, I've been there. What would alignment feel like? So, in this one area of your life that you kind of identified to yourself, if that area was like aligned, like how much relief would that give you? It would feel like magic. I love that. Tranquil. Yeah, ability. And where do you feel that? Like when you say these words, like where in your body does it like light up? Where does it feel? Where do you feel it? Yeah, in your chest. Like your heart. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, heart. Yeah, we are you guys probably know, but we are exploring different places for us to live right now to find a healthier place to raise a family for multiple reasons. And that's also partly why this is like part of the work I'm doing is the place we live right now in Canada feels very misaligned, um, politically and the schools and some of the things that are being taught in schools now, how expensive it is to live in Canada, just like different factors. And it's been very uncomfortable to start to have these discussions with our family and our friends because we just moved. We moved like, I don't know, 18 months ago, 2 years ago. We just moved. And so now we're exploring brand new countries to live. And the question becomes is like, where can we live that reflects our values? And there's a lot of people doing this. I don't know if you guys moved or moving. Canada has had the most people leave its country in years. I think it was something like 180,000 people left in 2025. So there's a lot of movement happening across the globe right now. And it's a good question. And that's just one example, right? Like it could also be like relationships and things like that. But when I think about this, of this question of like, what would alignment feel like? So if I lived somewhere that was in alignment with myself, like I feel like there's a lot of peace there and ease. Like things feel easier, lighter. But that comes from after making that decision to move and going through it, the uncomfortable part, the sticky part. And so for some of you, so did you find that place? No, we haven't yet. We're exploring. And that's part of what we're doing right now is like we're exploring these next few months. So we're in Nicaragua right now, and we go to Costa Rica, my retreats in Costa Rica, and then we go to Mexico afterwards. Um, and yeah, it's definitely uncomfortable even doing this trip. It's amazing and it's beautiful. And obviously, like you see the palm trees and you're like, oh my gosh, that's incredible. But it's also like hard with work. It's costing us a lot. It's a lot of organization. It's a lot of like logistics and things like that. Um, and it's going to be uncomfortable making a decision after this. But on the flip side is I know that if we stay in a place that doesn't reflect our values, I know it's going to eat away at me. And it already is. Like it's already causing stress in my body. And so am I going to live there for the rest of my life and like live in a place that is causing me to be more inflamed, is causing oxidative stress? Who knows how it's disrupting my microbiome, my mitochondria? Like we could get into all the different like actual biological processes and factors that we can look at. But it's like low level chronic stress day in and day out. And I really do think this is why women's health span is actually shorter than their lifespan. No, sorry, is shorter than men's health span. Ah, is because women are so used to overriding our intuition, putting people before us, and living in misalignment because we are caregivers, we're mothers, grandmothers, friends. But at one point, again and again, it's like wellness can only get us so far. Self-care can only get us so far. It's a great place to start, but we really need to like peel back the layers and do what's uncomfortable. Otherwise, we're stuck. I've been stuck. Uh, I've been stuck in jobs, relationships, all the things. So I understand. Is this resonating with you guys? How are you feeling? Wait, no, I actually have the question I really want to ask. See, intuition is when I first started talking about something being misaligned in your life, did the thing that's misaligned immediately pop into your mind without me even having to say another sentence? Okay. So you don't need to name it. Yeah, exactly. Our body knows what it needs. You don't need to name it here in front of other people. You already know. But I just like invite you to really think about what can you do about that? And if you don't do something, how is it going to impact your health and your longevity? And our health is so important, right? Like everyone has their reasons for wanting to be healthy long term. But if you want to, like, could be anything. If you want to travel the world, how are you going to do that if you're not healthy? If you want to run around with grandkids, how are you going to do that if you're not healthy? If you're sick, if you have autoimmune issues, if you're weak, if you're mentally not there, so many different factors. Like health has been arguably my number one value for a very long time. Because I've seen in my own parents and my own family members what happens when our health declines. So, like everything else, like wealth as a value, or family as a value, or trust, respect, whatever those might be, courage, those are all really great, but like you actually can't show up for any of those if your health isn't there. Alignment changes your biology. It's the difference between safety and threat, which determines repair versus survival. And alignment lowers stress, it lowers inflammation. And longevity isn't created by force, regardless of what the biohackers say. I am a biohacker, but regardless of what the biohackers say, it's created by safety, like feeling safe, not feeling threatened, not living in fight or flight. I really just want to normalize what has come up for you today because I know when I've done this work with a few different people, there's a lot that comes up. So trust that and just trust your intuition, and it's okay, whatever has come up for you. Tonight, if you want to do more journaling and reflection, I recommend that. Drinking lots of water and really like letting it sit because it's hard, right? Like it is uncomfortable. And tomorrow, we are going into day two, how to live in a way that actually supports your biology. So understanding this a point of misalignment, how it affects biology, and then how do we actually live in a way that supports the biology, supports our health, supports our longevity. What do we do about it? If you have any questions, you can put them in the chat now. If you want to talk about anything specifically, or if you want to share, like I know you guys shared so many like amazing parts already, but you're welcome to do that. Or if you actually want to share what came up for you. We have the VIP day on Friday, which is a hot seat. And so people will be able to come up and ask questions. You're more than welcome to join for that. We can put that link in the chat for you. Oh, thanks, Natasha. And the replay of this will be available. We'll send it out over email. It'll go on to Facebook, maybe YouTube as well. So it's super easy. And tomorrow, like I said, we're going to be diving deeper and have a few more activations and some really good like questions for you to reflect on like how to, what to do with this, what to do with what's come up for you. Okay, there you go. Thank you guys. Thanks for being here. Thanks for everyone live. Thank you for everyone watching the replay. Come back tomorrow and we are going to take the next step. Okay, I will see you then. Bye.